Hello everyone, and in this video I will be talking about why is it so hard to find love nowadays. Well, when we say things like nowadays, we do not really know what happened in the past. Was it really easy to attract a partner? Fif- for example, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago. I think, in my assessment, the answer is yes. Finding love could be really hard for any generation of people. But yes, finding a partner, a mate for marriage was much easier back in the time. Why? Because people had way less demand back in the time. Marriage was an arrangement. A marriage was seen as an arrangement to take care of your socio-economical background, which means if you marry a person, they would be providing you. Man would provide woman with financial status, and a woman would provide the man a family. That was the fundamental organization. That was by definition was marriage back then. And nowadays, now that for the first time we actually marry for the sake of love, and because women are really financial independent nowadays, some of the men doesn't really want children anymore. Some women doesn't want children. There are men who makes way less money than women. There are women who makes way more money than men, and all those social structure that we used to have in the past has changed. Was the past very beautiful? Let's come back to that discussion later, but let me tell you, why do we find it so hard to date anyone? In my opinion, number one reason is we have so many options nowadays. And those options somewhat is pretty much illusional, because even though we think we have options, we don't really. When we go on Tinder, there are so many people we swipe right and left on, and we look at it and we see, oh, there are so many men who are messaging me. We do treat these people as options, but maybe in the second and the third day they would never even care to talk to you or message back to you. When you go to club, there will be so many men running around you, there will be so many women interested in you, but those things does not really bring anything fruitful for the long run. That's why dating has become so hard. Even though we think we have all the option, we honestly have way less option compared to what we used to have back in the time. Is it a bad thing? I don't think so. Is it a good thing? Mm, Depends on what how you see it. So back in the time, marriages were pretty much arranged. And even if you do not like someone, you will have to marry that person because the parents forced you to. And then you would get into so many extramarital affairs. It would be so hard. I'm sure it was so hard for people to be faithful in the marriage. Men would cheat on their wife. Wife too would find a way to cheat on their man. And even though we as a species has increased and grown in numbers, we I wouldn't say those times were extremely fulfilling for people. In fact, even 100 years ago, we only saw war zone. This country is attacking this country, that country is attacking that country. Man will always be in war zone, women would be staying at home. So was that a better time? In my opinion, no. If we see the Middle Age history, all I see is war. Who fought who and who fought who. That is all we saw. Nowadays, we are finally in a peaceful situation, and the society is changing because now situation doesn't control us as much as it used to. Nowadays, we try to control the situation, or at least we love to think we are controlling the situation. So, therefore, we are also controlling the narrative of who we're gonna date and how we're gonna date, and we have all kind of things that we want in a partner. Sometimes the things that we want become extremely unrealistic. Huh. So, what to do about that? Is there anything called happily ever after? Well, the fact that you have clicked in this video, you probably came here to know why people cannot find love anymore. I have to warn you, I'm not going to give you any rose tinted answer here because there is no such thing as soulmate or love forever. There are people you fall in love for a while, and if you're lucky, then that would last until you die, and sometimes it also breaks. Doesn't necessarily mean the love you had for each other in the beginning was not true. In fact, love transforms, changed, and sometimes it just ends. Um, I know many people will be really happy if I tell them you will always be with your soulmate, but the problem is one of you would die before the other, unless it's a Titanic situation happening and Jack somehow managed to survive with Rose and lived happily ever after with her. But then again, who knows? Maybe at the age of 90, Rose died before Jack. Who knows, right? We don't know. You don't know. I don't know. So actually, the problem with us is whenever we watch a love story, typical romantic movies, we want to create those situations in our own life. Those movies make us believe that those things can happen in reality. And the truth is, it does. It is possible for those things to happen in reality. But the problem is, those things are not supposed to last. Like the movie. The movie lasts for two hours, and that's it. Nobody shows what happens 50 years later. Nobody shows what's gonna happen when you will fight for financial reason. Nobody shows what's gonna happen if one of the person is infertile and another and both of them di- are dying to want to have children. Nobody showed what happens when one person wants to live in England and another wants to go back to America, right? Nobody shows those kind of things, and especially romantic movies. And the romantic movies that are beautiful usually are bittersweet. In my opinion, one of the most favorite romantic movies of mine is Call Me by Your Name. And what happens in that movie, they both fall in love with each other. They share 2 weeks of steamy romantic state, but the guy had to, spoiler alert, one of the lover had to leave the other lover for the forever, and he got married to a woman. So, see, this is what happens. So, does love exist? Yes. Does romance exist? Yes. Does those chemical reaction that happens in your brain happens? Yes, yes, and yes. But can you make those things last forever? No, no. But let's talk about relationship now. So in order to make a relationship work, mm, you also need love, but in small doses. So you need the chemical reaction that love gives you in your brain with each other once in a while. That makes the relationship spicy. Otherwise, it gets boring, and then we look for the things we can't find in our partner in other people. I'm not just sorry, I'm not justifying cheating, but that is one of the fundamental reasons behind why people cheat. Now, is cheating well good, morally correct? Um, no, but is it possible? Yes, very much possible. It's very much possible. Just because someone loves you with his heart or her heart, just because you have shared the most magical moment of life together, doesn't guarantee they would never cheat on you. Cheating is a very natural response in a relationship. People do it when they can't find what they're looking for from their wife. Therefore, just ignoring the fact that you will never get cheated on or you will never cheat on anyone, we should not discard that idea because there is a possibility that you being, even if you're a saint, you might would end up cheating on your partner because of the needs that are not being met in your relationship. Is it a good thing? No, but being conscious about it can actually help as an avoidance, right? Okay. So, I have seen so many. man saying marriages are not working because women has become selfish, because women now they can only think of themselves. uh yes, that is true, but why, the question is, why do you want a woman to not think for herself? To be very honest, women go through way more struggle than men, physically, biologically. um for example, period. You know how long it takes for a woman to actually adjust with period? For me, it took 2 3 years, even more. If it's a humid situation, wearing pad was extremely uncomfortable, whereas man didn't really have to deal with that kind of thing. So, do you know the level of inconvenience a woman has to go through throughout her lifetime? Menopausal woman has to go through massive situation. Therefore, the women who just hit puberty has to go through a massive situation. Women who have PMS, syndrome, when they have to go through a lot of mental and physical breakdown before period. Also also women go through 4 phases in every single week. So yes, women are the one who had to biologically deal with so many struggles. So is it wrong for them to be selfish and to think about themselves? Just because your grandmother didn't, just because your great grandmother didn't, just because your mom didn't do that, you think a woman who has the opportunity to do it shouldn't do it? Yes, I know how obsessed some of you are with the idea of old fashioned lifestyle and the past. You know what happened in the past? In the past, a whole generation of race were slaves. In the past, poor people wouldn't have had any chance to become there, to have a living standard that would at least feed them 3 meals a day. Nowadays, it's easier than ever. Do you know what happened in the past? In the past, women were burned with their dead husband because a religion said so. The past wasn't as beautiful as it we think it is. Yes, we love to see the, so if you want to put a rose tinted glass and look at the past with that rose tinted glass, of course past looks beautiful. There were good things about past as well. But if you want to go back to the past because life was way easier for man back then, I would call that selfish. See, if you're a cis man and if you're a cis woman, I am not talking about transgenders here. If you're a cis man and if you're a cis woman, other half of the population of the world is women. So you really want the other half of the population to suffer, whereas you can flourish, and you call them selfish for thinking about themselves, and you compare them to the women who have been suffering abuse all their life. Is it very bad for women to think for themselves? It is selfish of women to think about themselves. It is selfish for women to dream of something their ancestors never even dared to think about. Ask yourself that question. Now, for the women, I have seen so many messages where ladies are asking me. I'm watching the videos of Jordan Peterson where he says a career woman in their late 20s to 30s, they're complaining about not having children, and they're upset, and they're crying, and they're depressed that they didn't, all their life they have spent it on their career and now they don't have any children, and they're worried that they can't have children because they can't find a man. Woman, you need to pay the price of your choice. If you have made a choice that was not very convenient for motherhood, just accept it. And if you really want to enjoy motherhood, then you of course need to give up a part of your life which you enjoy most. This is what being parents is. Being parents means becoming extremely selfless because you had the desire of having a child. A child is a huge responsibility, and for some reason, Mother Nature has believed women way more than men. and given her the responsibility of carrying a child, therefore becoming the primary caregiver of a child. So if you want children by any means, go for it. But if you don't want them, and if you have focused on your career, and if you want to enjoy the things that your grandmother did not get to enjoy, then please make sure to pay the consequences for that. Is life fair for men? I don't think so. There are so many struggles men also need to deal with. The pressure on men of becoming the primary breadwinner of a family can be also very frustrating for men. Some people believe man's value is attached to how much money they're making, and in their therefore to make those money, there are so many men who would do unspeakable thing just to make the money and provide for their family. Is it less struggle? No, that's one kind of struggle. So yes, we struggle. Yes, human life is not supposed to be easy. This is a tarot reading channel, this is a spiritual channel. So whenever you go to YouTube videos and look for the ultimate recipe of happiness, let me tell you the bad news. There is none. When you come to the world, there will be suffering, there will be pain, there will be joy, and there will be all kind of struggle and all kind of celebration that you will face in your life. But you know what we shouldn't do? We shouldn't complain. We shouldn't fight with each other. We shouldn't compare our life with each other. What we should do is look at ourselves and see what benefit Mother Nature, God, or universe has given us, and with that those benefits, try to make the best out of your life rather than comparing your life with other people, rather than saying this person has it easier than I do. Women doesn't understand what men are capable of. Man doesn't understand what women are capable of. Man should act this way. Women should act this way. This person should make money. That person should bear children. Let's just stop fighting, because you know what? If you keep fighting with each other, you will lose as a species. You will lose as human. And our ancestors haven't worked that hard for us to fight with each other all the time. So if you respect human life, if you respect the sacrifices our ancestors have made, we need to value each other equally and understand and empathize with the needs and the importance of each other's in our life. And that way you can experience the true love, which means seeing someone as a part of yourself. Good luck.